Hello, and thank you so much for joining me again today for another thought from this amazing book, the Bible. I think it's kind of in our nature as humans to like to settle. My husband Dave and I, we've been back here in the UK for 4 months now. Can you believe it? We've been living in this house for just a little bit over 3 months. And I feel quite settled here already. It feels like home. I feel settled in this conservatory office where I get to record these videos. I'm starting to learn my way around the town of Ashford. I'm working out where to find things in the supermarkets, finding nice places to walk outside in nature. It feels nice. It's pretty comfortable. And I don't think that there is anything inherently wrong with feeling settled. If you've ever been through a season in your life where things feel a little bit unsettled, then you will know how nice it is to return to something that seems a little bit more normal, a little bit less chaotic, somewhere that you can rest. But, there had to be a but, right? But there's a danger. There's a danger when we become a little bit too settled, when we start to lose focus on the one who brought us to this place of stability and rest, who brought us here in the first place. And when we start to feel a little bit panicked, when those things in our lives that are comfortable seem to go a little bit wrong, whether it's something to do with our home or our car or our workplace or our family, whatever it may be, wherever we find that comfort, we start to feel uncertain and unsettled when something happens that could potentially take it away from us. And there's a danger too that we can settle a little bit too soon in our lives. If we have a dream or a vision or a calling, but it doesn't quite seem to be working out the way that we'd hoped it would, the way we'd imagined it would, the temptation can be just to stop where we are, to stop there and say, that's good enough. That's good enough. I wonder how often we stop and we settle for the mediocre, stop and settle within sight of our victory. The Lord said to Moses, "Tell the Israelites to turn back and encamp near Pi-Hahiroth, between Migdol and the sea, there to encamp by the sea, and Pharaoh will think the Israelites are wandering around the land in confusion, hemmed in by the desert." Hemmed in, trapped between an ocean and a desert with an army fast approaching. Yeah, we may have escaped from the land of Egypt, but we're not in the promised land yet, are we? Maybe this dream was a little bit too big for us. Let's turn around. Let's go back to Pharaoh. Let's go back to Egypt. Let's say that we were wrong. It won't be perfect, of course not, but we can settle there. Now the gates of Jericho were securely barred because of the Israelites. No one went out and no one came in. The walls are big and the gates are barred. I know we just made it across the Jordan River. I know that was amazing. I know we got this far. But that is impossible. That is an impossible barrier ahead of us. It is something too far beyond us. We could just settle here. We could just set up our tents in the shadow of the city walls. some people came and told Jehoshaphat, a vast army is coming against you from Edom, from the other side of the Dead Sea. Not a small army, not a few people, a vast army, 3 kingdoms, 3 nations coming to assault the nation of Judah. An impossible situation. Time to send out the mediators, right? Time to send out the ambassadors. It might just be time to surrender. If we wave that white flag now, maybe they'll spare our lives. Yeah, we might have to be subjected to slavery, but maybe they'll only kill a few of us. What does it sound like to you? I've prayed for healing and nothing has happened. I'm faced with an impossible situation at work. There doesn't seem to be any way through it. I can't reach out to my children, my friends, my neighbours, my parents, whoever it may be. They're not listening to me. Perhaps it's time to stop. Perhaps it's time to settle where I am, to say, that's good enough. But you don't know how close you may be to your victory right now, to the waters parting, to the walls falling, to the armies chasing after each other rather than you. If you knew that the situation you were in was going to change right away, if you knew that it was going to change today or tomorrow, then you would not stop chasing it, right? You would pursue it with your heart and your soul and your mind and your strength. You would be praying and fasting and believing in excitement for the change that you knew was about to happen. But the problem is we don't know when. God can turn a situation around in an instant like that. But at other times, we know of stories of people who have waited years for their victory. But that doesn't mean that victory is not coming. In all of those stories that we read just a little bit about right now, God moved in absolutely incredible and completely unexpected ways. You know, I think that Moses genuinely believed and expected that God was going to deliver the Israelites. But I kind of think he was probably expecting like a bridge or, you know, some boats to suddenly appear from the other side of the Red Sea. I don't think in his wildest dreams, in his biggest imaginings, that he would ever have expected the water to quite literally split in two to allow hundreds of thousands, possibly up to 2 million people to walk straight through the middle on dry ground. I'm sure that Joshua believed that the Israelites could take the city in some way or another, but I highly doubted at the start of this, looking at the city of Jericho, I highly doubted that he expected those walls to crumble into dust so that the Israelite army could rush in to take the city. That is not normal. That doesn't happen. Jehoshaphat looking out on this vast army. Yes, he put his trust in God, but I'm sure that he probably believed, well, maybe somehow against the odds, we'll have victory in battle. And yet, God himself set ambushes against those 3 nations who then started attacking one another for absolutely no good reason. What if those people had given up? What if they'd said, enough, I'm done. We're just going to settle where we are. We've done all we can. What if they had returned to a place that seemed comfortable by comparison? They would never have witnessed the extraordinary power of God at work in their lives, at work in this world. I don't want to miss that. I don't know about you. I don't want to miss it because I was happy feeling settled. I don't want to stop praying for a miracle right on the cusp of seeing it happen. I don't want to stop believing for a promise just as it was about to come to life in a new and fresh way. I don't want to be too timid to pray for that person that God puts on my heart. And this isn't wishful thinking. This isn't about manifesting what we want in life by speaking about it. This is putting our trust in Almighty God and saying, well, my life may not look like I expected it to. Things may not be panning out quite the way that I wanted. You may move in a way that is completely beyond what I've ever expected, God, and that's okay. And whether I have to wait for a day or a week or a month or a year or a decade or my whole life to see you move, I will wait and I will trust and I will keep praying and keep praising and keep expecting, because I know that the God of miracles is the same yesterday and today and forever. And I know that he moved before, so I know that he can move again. You know, at a vision night at the church that we've started attending here in Ashford this week, somebody gave a lovely example from The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, that story about this land of Narnia. And this little girl, Lucy, who first discovered that the back of the wardrobe opened into this whole other world. And, you know, she could have had a peek. She could have looked through the coats and said, wow, that looks pretty good, but you know what? I'm just going to take one of these coats and go back to what's familiar. I'm going to go back to what's comfortable. I'm going to go back to what I know. It would have been so easy to settle, not to push on into something new, something potentially scary, something unfamiliar, something she would be ridiculed for by her own family. But something extraordinary. What are you holding on for today? Have you settled? Is it time to start moving again in some area of your life? To start that project, even though you don't really feel capable of achieving it? To keep on praying, even though it seems like nothing is happening? To praise through the storm, trusting that God has the power to still the waves that are crashing against you? Don't stop. Don't go back to where you were before. Don't pull back. Don't stop believing. You're not on your own in this. You're not doing this alone. You're not doing this in your own strength. Turn your eyes to him again. God of the extraordinary. God who can move in ways that we can't even begin to comprehend. Be still and know that the Lord is fighting for you. And if you're struggling with this, if you really want to have the faith in your life to believe for the promises that God has spoken, then I really do encourage you pick up a copy of my conveniently placed book right here. You can search for No Mountain Immovable on any Amazon store, and it will guide you through the lives of characters in the Bible, some of whom had to wait quite some time to see the promises of God fulfilled in their own lives. But as you look at those characters, as you look at their stories, you will start to feel your own faith stirred and to think about how you can activate your faith in whatever situation you may be facing. So yeah, pick up a copy on Amazon, and I truly do pray that it will be a blessing to you. Thank you so much for joining me today for that thought from the Bible. I'll be back on Wednesday next week with another video, so I will see you then.